Especially in the session where I was like, "Hey, I'm going to try to focus on demos a bit," and
that was a little unfortunate.
I couldn't know, and I couldn't have just thrown that out.
Yeah, exactly. I don't blame you.
It seems
I think it turned out well, all things considered. It gave me a good opportunity, I guess, to make my exit, as it were.
What were you going to say, Malachi?
I'm trying to formulate my words here, but I'm sure lots of people have stuff to say.
The journal reading, sorry. I've had that since the campaign start, and
there's no
I liked
apology
it
for me. Like me reading it, would have I thought it sounded interesting. The problem is that it was just it was so many words for me listening to as someone was reading that it was just hard for me to keep focus. I don't have a problem with it, and I will look over it after the session. It was just being read to me during the session. It's one of the advisory things, the GM's warn, don't design anything that's super wordy, otherwise the players will just click out, even if they're trying to pay attention.
I struggle with that sometimes.
My personal view on the potential problem we're looking at right now, I mean, my solution as a DM, we are all also DMs here, as it turns out, not only players, but my solution is usually, and this is coming not only from playing with you guys, but also with my AFK group, which is very different from my group here. This is very much polar opposites, and we usually do. And since I'm more used to handling my AFK group, because I'm the DM in that group always, I almost always try to provide a very clear goal, always, that sort of supersedes a lot of the personal character stuff. I usually try to bind that up into the meta plot fairly quickly and fairly clearly, so the characters would have a motivation like that. That's how I would have approached the current thing, and I mean, this is a difference in how we do the things, and I'm not saying that my thing are better. I'm just saying that this is how I would try to tackle this, and be no, all of these unique things, I would try to tie them up into the meta plot fairly quickly and fairly clearly, so that all the players have a character reason to go after the main thing. And I would try to focus very much on the thing, because that's the problem I see with campaigns that offer this sort of choose your own adventure path sort of approach, is that when you leave it too much to the players, they will very rarely want to do the same thing if they talk from their own characters, because the characters are all different and have all different goals usually. And so leaving that to the players, I feel, is dangerous, because it risks if the steam is going to let out from the campaign in that case, instead of keeping it fairly focused.
We need what you're saying, just sum it up, I think. We need a Mithra to unite against then.
The Way of the Wicked was a very good example of a superseding goal that was not always dominating everything, so the characters certainly had a lot of leeway how they did, but everything the characters did was to get to that ultimate goal up there, to overthrow and just ruin this entire nation. That was what every character tried to do, no matter who the character was. We did it in different ways, but that's what we all tried to do, and therefore it worked. We always were on the same page and on the same side, mostly, when it came out to do that. Only when the country was defeated and the players sat down to talk amongst themselves what to do next, then we really had the first really in character clashes, where some characters were oh, we need to do this, and the other characters were no, you won't. And we had sessions where we sat and was actually quite upset with each other because of the council meetings and how we tried to tackle it. So that is my reflection on this.
Personally, I was never upset with anyone during that campaign.
Oh, I was pissed, you wouldn't believe, at certain things that was decided. But that's what happens, and as Jake said, this is something we saw in Forsaken Throne as well. That when the players sit down and get too much freedom, this seems to
mean-
happen.
I think, knowing sheep that there probably is like a big overarching thing. I mean, it's just been hinted at, right?
We need to see it though.
There's
That's the
something
thing.
below and such. But yeah, I think if motivation is it, then probably just information, undeniable proof that something is happening that only we can stop or
I don't need the overarching meta plot. I've been roped into adventuring. I want to go adventuring. Fancy is here to help her companions, even though she doesn't personally care about Sterling Hold, and I, as a player, had great interest in going to Sterling Hold. I don't need there to be a great doom. Fancy will kill herself.
perhaps you like then playing Fancy right now as being sort of mopey and sad about what's happened.
No. Like, this is, like, how Fancy's personality has shaped. She's here because she feels an obligation to help her companions who traveled with her to Ardent Crest to do the thing that she wanted. And she doesn't want, like, Anrican to just, like, walk off alone behind the crazy paladin. And, well, that actually could be both the crazy paladins. Because Graham might be a little deranged, too, from his 1,000 years of age or whatever, how old he says he is.
He wouldn't
No one-
deny it himself.
And Fancy's completely mentally stable. There are 3 crazy paladins here, for all I know.
Well, Fancy
And you, one of us.
Fancy knows that she's sane. But yeah, like, in this case, like, her pursuit of helping others is actually helping her companions, particularly Anrican, do the thing that they care about doing, which is going to Sterling Hold. She doesn't see any particular passion in the locale. Like, the whole, like, journal spooky, like, whatever thing mostly eluded her. Like, the doom doesn't, like, really connect to her, but she sees that it's clearly affected Anrican. That he quite likely used to be a normal person, sane, and not spewing negative energy out of his every pore. But then something bad happened to him. He might have had a lovely family with a picket fence, and, Fancy, out of a desire to help, is deciding, okay, I'll help this person, because why not? He helped me in making my expedition to Ardent Crest.
Okay.
So I don't need, like, the great terror, the doom is joining forces with, I don't know, the outsider. They will have negative energy guns or whatever.
Now we're talking.
Bullets.
Now we're talking.
Damn. Well,
Yeah.
I personally would then say that I don't know. I don't feel, I guess, a lack of motivation for doing anything really. I mean, I could probably. Yeah, it would seem then that Fancy is as flexible as Graham, really, because she will try to help her unfortunate companions in their unfortunate state of.
Well, probably not as flexible as Graham. Graham fucking sees what Anrican does, and Graham's okay with it. Fancy still doesn't know that for sure that Linnell Howard's died because Anrican ate her.
Yeah, no, that's
Like, that would be a problem.
Graham doesn't like the idea of that either. But I don't know, he's forgiving
Alright.
in his old age.
But there isn't the. I mean, sure. If you both are okay with it, I'm happy with it. It's connected to my character, and I will be very interested to go up there and
I'm
maybe-
interested as a player to
maybe
know what happened there too.
maybe find some answers.
Yeah.
But I don't want it, as I said, I don't want it to be me hijacking the campaign and being like, oh, this turned out to be Anrican's story all along,
Mhm.
That is not necessarily what I want.
I don't think you'll have to worry about that when Talsifer gets back. Dun dun dun.
You did this.
I used my 2 relationship dice to teleport us all to the Elven lands now. You.
That said, there would need to be some pretty hefty reasons for Anakin to go to the Elven lands.
And Manikai already built like the lattice of rationalization. Like, we're gonna need a ship because we really can't walk reasonably to Crimson Peak. So we're gonna go to like my lands, and we're gonna get a ship there,
Mhm.
and it'd be quicker for us to get to Crimson Peak by sailing south. Well, what do you know? The Elven Deserts are like right there, so since we're literally in the area,
We'll have to stop in and like refuel anyway. I mean, we're not going to get through this again, right? We all
No.
agree?
Yeah, we can agree to this.
Ice hell. And so we'll visit everyone, and in the end we'll go to Crimson Peak, where we'll help a dragon. Well, probably get there too late to help a dragon,
While-
but
while
we see
having-
the aftermath of whatever happened.
While having gone around the entire world.
that's right. And we're taking a tour of things. We're visiting. We're seeing that we're sightseeing.
We're learning to care about things, which will later help us when those things, inevitably get threatened by something to care about to save them.
That's right. Whenever it's referenced later, and then this happened to Respite, we'll be able to better imagine it because we were there.
The grand scene where they host their festival of summer has been ruined and burnt down, and a new strange elven lord has taken place who will have nothing of this, and is super militaristic and warlike and suppresses all the things that were good and just about that land.
When we hear about the volcano and the heat wave that was so hot that it melted the shivering plain, we'll be like, holy shit, it must be
My
hot there now.
God. Yeah. Who doesn't like going on a world tour?
No, traveling's pretty rough on the body.
And yeah, maybe we'll find something here that will give Enrikin a reason to want to go there.
Maybe. I don't know. I couldn't tell.
All right. I can use this. But, as you might have already guessed, I do want to cut today's session a bit short, especially since it's basically only half the group actually playing.
No, it's 3/4 of the group, is she?
Three quarters of the 4/5.
No, it's not.
Jake doesn't
of
count
the
anymore, does he?
4/5. No, it doesn't count anymore. We went from 80% to 75%. That's not as big of a drop as you're making it out to be.
I guess you have a point, but still, there are adjustments I want to make, but
3
Uh,
players
Don't
does
want
still seem
Halldamir to
like
return.
middle.
And we're like, you said you'd meet us on the way. We're literally here.
yeah, that's also
Yes, I took. I mean, didn't you
I
take
know.
the train? I mean,
Yeah, I know. Like Talsper, like Gilgalad takes his quick transport and immediately goes, "Oh fuck! I should have done that."
I thought you'd be further.
I wish there was not one way.
Oh, yeah.
but basically, to summarize what I think I'll take away from this conversation is that things aren't as bad as I thought they would be, and all of you would very much still be interested in continuing this, despite... No, scratch that. Just that.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have voted for Sterling Hold as tied with Jules Sands if I really didn't want to come here.
Fancy being unhappy is not Grimmeth being unhappy.
Yes, okay, that might have been a difference,
Yes,
a differentiation that I didn't quite get.
I am role-playing the misery of my character right now.
I have enjoyed that thoroughly in Grimmeth's campaigns.
It might just be then that, if I may interject then and say that, it might just be then if you roleplay that misery too much, you might actually give the impression that you yourself is actually miserable.
That might have happened, but now that I know, it's not going to be a big deal. The other, in quotation marks, problem was a bit Jake in a sense, because I found it hard to motivate him too, although, that's who you are, Jake. But
Yeah.
that, I guess, is no longer an issue, so that's also good.
He needs to
Yeah,
be
no,
a crazy
don't
professor.
feel like your attempts at trying to motivate me went unappreciated, because I do appreciate it. I just find it hard to get motivated about some things.
Yeah.
Okay. There was also the notation that, sometimes the players have swatted away things. Just take the Admiral as presented, Fancy, he came across the kook to Fancy, just as crazy as this guy we're following, the bald man. So,
Man, that blindsided me.
I know. So let me get this
Yeah.
straight. He wants us to go into the wilderness and fight Wilder Tananim to take leaves from a tree stick it in their sci-fi power core so their floating fortress can move again.
Well, there are some exaggerations there. First of all, he didn't ask you to get the leaves.
That's how fancy read it. Like, you can't take that away
All
from
right.
my kid.
All right,
Honestly,
just to make sure that I didn't say the wrong things. Also, the thing doesn't fly; it floats
Honestly,
on
though,
water like a ship.
that's like flying, but on water.
Yes, I guess.
Honestly, though, that was not really. I was down. I was like, yeah, sure, we're adventurers. Let's go adventure. I'm down for going to a magical mystical tree. Maybe.
He just didn't seem that trustworthy. It's the kind of guy you're like, and then you get there, and then it's like you help him, and then you go back, and then you see that all the ogres turn into paladins, and you're like,
I don't know,
well,
we've
we're
had
fucking roped into
we've
something.
had
He also
really
wasn't, like, directly asking us. He just, like, mentioned it in that sly way of, like, hey.
we already have very bad track records in choosing who we help. It seems. So I don't know. We can't really trust our gut feeling.
I mean,
that's
how
my
could
feel.
you let this guy Theridas, how could you let him just hang in?
There's also the hope that, like me as a player, like, let's not lose focus from, why we're traveling towards Sterling Hold, and it's to actually get there in Sterling Hold. I just, like, if like,
No, I can.
suddenly there was, like, an 8-year-old kid, like, oh, my parents have been stolen by the Wilder Cannon, and Fancy was fucking, like, flipped the fucking table, and that could have been a lie, too.
I mean, I can certainly appreciate the sometimes as a player you're like, all right, we want to go here. Let's just go here. We don't necessarily want.
Like, what is he gonna offer us money that we're gonna spend here?
Yeah, that's also what I thought. It's like I could pay you handsomely. I'm like, I don't really need the money for
I have
anything.
magic items.
I mean, I guess we didn't ask what he had to offer. Like, I will offer you space tech or whatever.
I will offer you something that makes
Think
you
of it
float.
as a jetpack.
I'm thinking, can I get one of those magical discs so I can like float around like a chaos sorcerer?
And worst case, since he's not in that much of a hurry, whenever we do our world tour and we sail on our boat back up to the
Mm-hmm.
Like, has grown a beard now.
Has a wife and 2 kids.
It's like, so you're back. And we're like, you're still here, and he's like, yes.
I will say that.
Yes, thank you for the
I-
observation.
I
you
will
still
say.
want your ship to be activated. Yeah,
I will say that if Graham had said that thing, if I was playing that character, I would have hit Graham in the face. Oh, you should settle down here and forget everything. I'm like, he's gonna punch Graham
I was
for
thinking
being
that
so
too, Fancy
incredible.
Is Graham like fucking like sticking his face?
Yeah. Why is he being so incredibly like patronizing to this poor man who just wants to
You
get home?
forget all of your loyalty, duties, and obligations and give up.
Exactly, you should just give up, really. I'm like, wow, that's rough. Rough.
This man offers us hospitality.
Yeah, the Graham just insults him repeatedly, and his honor and his plight. Ugh. Yeah.
How I see it.
That's just a matter of interpretation.
Look. Oh god, I was about to make the worst joke ever. I can't.
Good. It's
Good.
best you don't.
You're being very grown up right now. Should be more patronizing.
I'll type it in Skype because I can't let it go to waste.
No,
Sure.
Great.
Tyrion never be forgotten.
How are you doing, Sheep?
In any context or just in general?
What can we do to make this campaign better for you as a party, as a player?
Let's see. I'll try to be specific. What I am going to need to talk to you about, Grimmith, is
Shit, why me? I don't want to be called to the principal's office again.
for every character that is not fancy, there is some sort of how to put it, some sort of white whale in a sense. The single thing that I could put somewhere and they would be like, yes, I need to go there. I can't think of anything that comes even close to being something like that for fancy. It is a tool I would like to have at my disposal.
This is one of the few characters I have that hasn't had like the pressing need for vengeance or the loss of a loved one. I want to keep it that way.
Sheep. Well, who does Fancy care about?
I know, like, you need to torment and suffer. I'm like, I don't want that as a thing.
How do I get Fancy to be determined about something, in essence? Rather than just going, I guess.
You haven't been paying attention to my character.
I have, but every time I try to employ what I thought would work, it more or less, or more often than not, didn't.
You said 50% success rate. That means even.
Somewhere around there. But anyways, just something that I think would be useful to me. Whether that is actually useful is a different story. Other things, mostly things that I think I have to change, which you can't really help me with. Yes, Manikai, what you said, I think I should make use of that more often, especially since I know that, you are really good at coming up with things while I need some more time with things. Hence why I sometimes just need a while to get into things.
Coming up with things is easy, especially if you just have to come up with it and not necessarily think it through. Because that's what you'll do then. And then I can just come up with stuff. And then, I like talking about random things.
But I think I can use these things to get this campaign back on track, as it were. Because there I've talked about what I needed to talk about, essentially. Of course, apologies for the short session today. It essentially boiled down to 2 hours.
I imagine there was also a mission in there we didn't go for.
No, that was perfectly fine.
Tree.
I mean, I never want you to feel forced to do something that your characters wouldn't do, and this was one of the cases where I thought, maybe. Also, you haven't seen everything I've prepared. But I don't want to keep going, mostly because, well, Jake's leaving caught me off guard, and Telsiba isn't here, and all these things, and...
Let me tell you where I didn't want to stay any longer than necessary. Cthulhu Village. That's not.
Oh yeah, I had totally those vibes too. I was about to make the joke at one point about this being Innsmouth.
Yeah, is this Dunwich? Are we in Innsmouth? What is this?
We already opened up with what I did hear from Jonas was fucking Call of Cthulhu, and then we arrive at Cthulhu Village.
Old captain is like, something in the waters.
Is Father Dagon gonna poke his head out of the water?
I also thought that very much sounded like something Cthulhuan going on out there in the mists. And I was like,
we had met a cult. You guys would have wanted to investigate that, right? A creepy cult who was like, yes, and all these newcomers must be drowned in the sea.
Yeah. We wanted to investigate. They've been like, no.
That's fucking creepy.
They're also mating with fish people. It's kind of weird.
Exactly. You notice, maybe Fancy noticed that some of these people, have some fucking creepy thing. Or she walks in on someone, eating someone's face in an alleyway or something like that.
That's something to walk into, indeed. It's like, oh!
That would have been highly disturbing emotionally. I mean, she, by perhaps mere fortune, did miss out on the trip to Meyerton, so she didn't see the creepy shit there.
Yeah,
pretty creepy.
But, I mean, it's a little heavy-handed, perhaps, but, I mean... We would have been knee-deep in a cold layer at this point.
We would have been fish deep.
Fish deep.
Oh, God.
Fish deep.
Too deep.
Yeah.
In a creepy cult layer at this point. So I guess sometimes maybe
it's a good thing that the guy who accosted us in the creepy village was this nice admiral who may have only been slightly mentally deranged, but I mean he had this wonderful beached fortress.
I think half of my skepticism about that situation was that
the size of it.
You never quite trust the guy who randomly meets you as you enter town, who is randomly someone important, who comes here just coincidentally as you do. It's like, oh hey, let me talk to you.
That was part of my skepticism as well. Here we are in Cthulhu Village with Father Dagon burbling under the water, and oh hey, how's it going? Yep, that's my ship right there.
Yeah, I know who you are.
Fucking one-eyed
I was like,
bastard.
well, I mean, if we
Yeah, and then he says he knows who
gone to the tavern
Demez
and,
is.
like,
Are you
and,
Demez Tristram? I'm like, fucking throw him in the water. Drown him.
like
Yeah, no, you don't want to drown me by chance, do you?
to take that hook, I think it would have been better probably. Like, had we just gone to the tavern, right, and overheard like some of the things, like, yeah, the admiral the guy's totally like looking for people to do this thing for him because apparently the way north is like blocked by some wild Tenonym who don't let people pass and harass them and do bad stuff to them. And that's the rumor anyway. And then we go to investigate that rumor and find out that, yes, he is looking for people. The way is not exactly blocked, though, but he has lost people up there who have sort of disappeared. And he would like to know why they've disappeared and if we can maybe rescue them for whatever fate they fell into. And then sort of that's sort of a more natural, we seek him out instead of the important person seeking. I mean,
Or not.
even if he sought us out,
so
a
happen to,
random
bumble
encounter.
anything.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what's up? Yeah. That would have been like,
convenient.
as I joked with Jonas about like the zombie form ritual, it's all about like the packaging there. So then we, the players, are the ones who rope ourselves into this thing where later on we're like, are you fucking kidding me?
And then later on we could find out, oh, actually, he just wanted the oily leaves that these people had with them when they got attacked, that they had gone and actually stolen from the Tenonym. And then suddenly we've like helped them steal the leaves, and now the Tenonym are like, why? When we go north, why would you steal the leaves? Like, you cretins were like, what? He cheated us into stealing the leaves, and now we have to go back and deal with him.
So then we end up like pissing off Wilbur Tenonym again. We kill them again, and like Adrican's like, see, you can't fucking do anything, and Fancy's like, oh no, not again.
And now we're forced to go and deal with like that guy who like fucking tempted us. Maybe we do that, maybe we don't. But if we do, you know, at least we have to storm his fucking boat.
Meanwhile, the Admiral is like, aha, now that I have these leaves, watch this, and the fucking, like, the floating fortress, like, pushes itself off
The main
shore.
cannon charges.
Like, curse you, Admiral! Standing on the beach, screaming at
Like,
him.
what the hell? And he, like, floats to, like, the other, like, continent, like, the mainland, and we're like, what?
We're like, we did this. We
Like,
did this.
quick,
We killed
after
these
him.
men.
all
And then
all
when
that
they
said,
come for us, like, we come for justice for the one you slew. We're like, we didn't have a choice, but
All
we
that
did it
said-
anyway. Oh God.
all
We are
that said,
guilty, but we don't want to die.
there is something I think to say for a heroic quest that is actually a heroic quest and does not necessarily lead to ruination and doom and gloom and self remorse for all the players all the time. I at least would like there to be quests like I feel kind of good for helping out and not
Sure.
helping.
Not everything needs a tarnished victory, right?
Exactly.
Not everything.
I don't want to be
Come
used.
on, guys. Target victories are best victories.
No. I at least get very tired of that sort of stuff after a while.
That being said, that could have built up a level of resentment where it's all said and done. We want to go to the mainland. Why? We're gonna find that motherfucker
That guy's
Admiral
gonna-
and take his
made
fortress.
us-
The
killed
problem is though that might also build up a resentment against like future stuff as well. It's like, oh, would like your help? No, I'm not gonna help anyone anymore
No,
because
you know,
we've been burned so much that
But the problem would be that in that situation that was just built up, we're the ones who sought him out because we were interested. We were fools.
I don't know if it makes sense. It's just me again, like throwing
So-
out random
and
ideas.
so you curb
fly.
interest for players to seek things out. Like that's I don't know.
No.
At some point, I would be like, why would I do anything? Because everything I do turns out horrible.
Why are you always
And that's
so
how you
negative,
fall into crippling
Jonas?
depression.
Cynical. Yeah.
Like, you thought those guys that we let go in A Song of Ice and Fire roleplay would the mercenaries would report on everything and we would be doomed and nothing bad happened.
Yes, I definitely thought so. Yeah.
This is where I find out that they actually all were killed. like oh. Oh.
Yes,
That's why I
nothing
shot
happened.
them all when you went to
Because
sleep.
I took care of them, damn it.
I ran after them because
That
they
is where my
kidnapped
poison went, so I didn't have it later.
Exactly.
Oh.
The thing is, if I am aware I'm in a treacherous world, I will become treacherous myself.
Isn't that Anrican already?
Like session 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like a no loose ends. It's just
I still think I made the absolutely correct call.
It's just business. That's a, Henry can
I
believe.
mean, she was a bad guy. We know now. She was like Gwyneth's
Oh, I fucking knew it.
adopted daughter.
Oh, I knew it. She was
Yeah.
bad news.
Well, you know,
That sounds like the beginning of like a detective noir like story.
it's like, hey there,
Bad-
Wanderer. No, we gotta kill this guy.
No, it wasn't
Hey,
even.
bad
He's
It,
gonna
news.
come later. He knows
no,
we
it
want
wasn't
him.
even Ho the Wanderer. It was like, I've tried to kill you for no reason at all, and now I want you to let me go so I can report back to my evil master. And I'm like, you know what? Let's not have that happen.
She had a perfectly good reason. She was hunting religious dissidents.
Which technically we are.
Did she pay the price for it?
Yeah.
You must not dissent.
Walk in line. Raise the boots high.
Mm-hmm.
This is really what this is about. This campaign, religious intolerance.
That seems to be
Yeah.
the theme, yeah. Also Cthulhu.
I mean, now like 75% of the party is religious, right?
Well, that's a religion unto itself, Jonas. So it does make sense.
That's true. It's like...
Oh no, this world will be divided in lines of religious warfare. The outsider, as the atheist, will be like, "Yep, not my problem. Have guns. Guns for you.
Guns for everyone, and you'll take care of that yourselves.
We have found out that magic works better here because people have faith.
Mhm.
We need to somehow capture it, use it,
Bottle it up.
manipulate.
Yes. We will fuel our ritual by this entire like island falling into religious warfare and crusading.
Then we can finally end some huge justifiable problem that they have on their land.
Why did all of the gold tanonym from Ardent Crest disappear?
Use them as fuel.
But then we ran out.
You didn't want to get the leaves, so now we burned gold tanonym. It's your fault.
You didn't give us a choice. See, that's probably also a way to motivate our characters. They're like, what the shit?
Just absolute insanity in front of us.
Though with that ship, I don't know if we'd go there or run away. Maybe
Yeah,
the
that-
old frozen land is not so bad after all.
That ship was pretty crazy.
Aircraft carriers are big. Yeah. Certainly sets that we're the like avatars people.
Yeah, we're the yokels
We're the
here, you
blue
know?
people in this thing.
Yeah, we're just primitive and adorable.
Rowboats.
Hmm.
Yeah.
See, now, what we're doing here in Sheep is what Rob Heinzu, one of the designers of Earth 13 Age, calls chumming the dungeon. When the players just like spew their ideas out loud, and
Yeah.
God, he says, "That's better than what I thought."
Yeah, I like this. I like this.
Well,
It does
it's
help me
easy
a
to do.
It does help me a lot. There isn't like nearly as much talk in like the group chat, for example, as there would be for something like, you know, Song of Ice and Fire currently, but that's understandable. On the other hand, it does help me a lot if you just speculate. Because that not only does it give me feedback of what I think I managed to get across well enough, but it also gives me new ideas, of course.
That's the thing too. Like, no matter how stupid the things you say are, they can be twisted in some sort of way. They might have something worthwhile that can be fused into some Frankenstein. Like,
I mean, Jonas should have heard what we talked about, Girth, with the sand in like Thorn Night. That was cool shit. I would have played that campaign.
we said a lot of fucking stupid shit about what Fern of Night could actually
That
be.
song that was like just this swarm of horrible insect things that
Yeah, well, there
was
was
pretty great.
something producing it, definitely. Something that was quite terrible.
Take everything over.
Something we'll never know because the book 3 will never be released.
Yeah, it's still-
Look for the terrible thing in book 4.
Yep.
Called
Is book
Well,
3 still not
pending
out?
name.
It is still not out. I checked last month. It is still not out.
Good thing we didn't just put that on hold. Like, well,
Yeah.
technically we did, right?
Well, we
Well, they're still out
technically-
there somewhere.
Like
If
in
we ever
20
want to go back to Pathfinder.
In 2020, there it is. Like, oh, hey, book 4.
At this point, I could write for him.
At
Just give me
this
the art
point,
guy. Let me have
yeah.
the art guy. That's what I need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's not out. I am
Book 2,
stunned.
Manikai. So you chose to play dwarves.
Like words escape me on the train wreck. That
Yeah.
seemed to have been.
It's like, what? I mean, the question comes up, what happened with the Wicked? How did that work?
How
Really,
did
you
that
got a
work?
7
Right?
book for that.
How
Like, damn.
how did that? How
I mean, something must have happened. And,
something
and
must have happened.
It does, but still, it's a business transaction, and
He
I
is
guess
running
it's
a
not
company.
binding, technically. But
He's
yeah,
running
I
a
mean,
company. I mean, it's
into the ground at this point.
yeah. No, that
I guess not. It's not
Right.
happening.
Well, you
But the
guys
Wicked was
did.
good.
Yeah, you guys did get Way of the Wicked out of it, so there
It was
was that.
good.
You'll
It was
always
good.
have that.
I know overreaching. Just I don't know. Yeah.
no, no.
His art guy was great though.
No, yeah, my clerk. It's good stuff.
If you're listening, hit me up.
Art guy,
We'll do something.
seek me out.
Maybe you should like look for him rather than for
Yeah.
you.
But
Probably
maybe he's
contact-
become averse to kickstart a project like that.
Well, then don't kickstart it. Come to him with money, real money.
Cold
He's probably,
hard
I
cash.
imagine he's done all the artwork that's been requested for him, and it's just
Yeah,
like
I think so
matter
too.
of it
I
just
mean,
sitting there.
as I understand, it keeps getting released.
Yeah, no, it's new art comes out. You know.
Yeah.
From
But all
time
the
to
guys
time.
who backed the Kickstarter didn't think they were backing like
An
like
artist.
artwork.
You're backing
Yeah.
an art project. Huh.
Yeah.
We never intended to release all the books.
But yes,
It's
back
part
to-
of the installation.
back to
Yeah.
It's an art, yeah. It creates
the-
the,
it's the
feeling of
forced Windows 10
desperation and
upgrade of-
suppressed anger.
We simulate the Underdark in your minds and your wallets.
So to cap it off, Sheep, just because like someone like me sounds like I'm suffering because of how I'm acting with my character doesn't mean that I'm inherently suffering. Although this was a rough session for me, it was in part because I was trying to find a connection all of this time up to today, and I couldn't find one other than helping my companions, which is a reasonable connection for Fancy. And I should have just settled on that instead of trying to find something more all the other days. I should have just been content with, I'm helping them. The end.
Okay, I just want to make sure that this choice didn't turn out to be the least terrible, but rather the most preferable. Like,
Well, I mean, we
You know.
did also have our divisive vote last week where, we tried to find places that we wanted to agree on going.
I did this.
Because
Yes.
Jake absolutely abhorred, like Sterlinghold. This was his least favorite.
I was lucky we didn't win what he
It
wanted.
happens.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to go to Grand Castle again. That's probably my one thought, and it was the other contender. I was like, no.
yeah,
No,
I
my
can
pro-
tell you. I can tell you
Stuff.
the two options I thought would be most likely were Crimson Peak and the Cloud Dragons. One being a kind of sort of intrigue thing with investigation and whatnot, and the Cloud Dragon more adventurous. But you picked this one, so yeah.
Cloud Dragons.
The Cloud
I-
Dragons would have been like an exploring thing too, which would have appealed to something more like Manikai. I was more
I
interested in like
like-
exploring like characters, which would have been with
Yeah.
us traveling towards Sterlinghold.
Yeah, I agree with
I want to
Kenneth.
know what happens. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Graham's and Enrikin's unique things. Oh, excuse me. are probably rather connected. We would always say that about most people, but
Mhm.
pursuing those things, sort of as a side goals, or doing something else with all of us, will get me closer to finding out all the cool shit that you prepared, which is what I'm interested in.
Okay.
Which is why, I put Sterlinghold in the same category as Jewel Sands, because I thought that would explore Gilgalad more thoroughly, and which is something that I was interested in as a player. of seeing that environment and seeing what was perhaps, and also pursuing that fucking Knoll leader who managed to escape to the Jewel Sands.
The one who escaped will get you.
Who was connected to Granath, and so that's why that was Fancy's like motivation right there. Like she was motivated, like find that
One who got
bastard
away.
and wring his neck and like, what is your connection? Tell me how deep the conspiracy is. You know.
But now we'll go here, and I do think that going to get a boat and sailing there would make sense for all involved. So I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take, of course, but that would be Graham's current plan in his mind. As he trudges through the snow and ice, thinking gloomy thoughts about snow and ice.
And then looking up at the map, then we can stay on Exile, which is a little island south of Respite for the rest of our lives. Happy,
well,
make a little beach resort.
That could be a very long time.
I'd like it. Beach resort. Beach resort. Let's
Beach
build
episode?
a beach resort on Exile. Like our beach resort and like adventuring like group where we like sell like T-shirts and mugs, and we build like a lovely
Yes.
little hotel. Like we're forward thinkers. Like
It's
we
like
get
it,
like
it leans a little bit because we're not exactly architects or anything. But the beaches are nice, and the t-shirts are stylish.
We don't really
Still-
like architects in general.
No, exactly. We don't we don't use the A word here.
Notice there's a barbecue, so you should
Okay.
be in.
This is
I
a
mean,
safe
sure.
space.
Just don't use the A word and
I'll yes. The Builders Consortium.
yes, there we go. Thank you.
Packaging.
It's all about the packaging, indeed.
Undead labor. It really is the cheapest nowadays.
We'll have undead shark guards that stand under the waves and poke away the sharks with harpoons.
We'll get some engineers from the Free City because the artist knows how to design things, and we'll have it build this glorious resort where it's going to be perpetually Mediterranean temperatures or something.
And then I will revive all the dead people who died and say, you know, you never got to feel the touch of the sun, so this resort will finally give you rest. And then they can come there and stay there for like a week each, and have a good time, just sort of enjoying themselves.
kill them
in the
again.
sun. And then they will sort of say, yeah, now I'm ready to move on to the next world, and then they will do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
People will want to come to our resort because the wait staff never sleeps. If you
Exactly.
need something, no matter what hour, they
You
will
need
get it for you.
Personalized, like
Skeleton
cloaked
servant.
figure.
Oh, plus the little chocolates on your pillow.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah. Something in your closet moves right and cleans up your room. And that is dance in there.
And, if you want to go out and hunting, the Wilder Wood is just a short distance away.
You
And you're
know.
going to take a ferry.
My secret desire of a Phoenix Wright-esque adventure in Crimson Peak, though. I want to slam a table and say objection, Your Honor.
The problem with that is that Anarkin's like process.
It'd be
of that
like
would just
a
be,
light pad on the table.
like that,
Your
and then
Honor.
I can slam my staff down pretty loudly.
and then him trying to intimidate people. Enough! And then you kill him like, oops.
Someone in the jury keels over. Oh! It's like, ooh.
And then, like,
Maybe
Just
that
image transferred to him, like a.
Oh.
maybe that strategy is ill-advised if the judge would be a rather large red dragon.
I don't know, that sounds
But
so cool, though.
sure.
It sounds so cool, though.
Maybe it's just what we need to do, actually.
And that's how Anarkin ended up in like the fighting pits of like Crimson Peak. Enough! Oh,
Uh-oh.
oh, oh.
Terribly
It's
sorry.
all a big misunderstanding. He had a coincidental heart attack.
That's a great like setup
Petty
for like
magics are useless.
that's a great setup for like an adventure like so how did you end up in the Crimson Peak like slave pits?
Well,
I was
Well, one time I accidentally killed a member of my own jury.
because I
Didn't look good.
committed my death now.
I accidentally invoked Death Knell. I do that when I'm upset, you see, and
The rest of them voted that I was guilty.
yeah.
The Red Tananim personally escorted me here on grounds of eating me, so I came, and here I am. And that's how the
But,
little necromancer lawyer ended up in the sleep
It's a bit of a problem, really. Yes.
Just a tad.
They disbarred me. Oh.
Lost my license to practice law. That's really worse than
It's like
being
Now he,
here.
now he practices law in the underground illegal court.
That's right.
events
The
like
Shadow
those
Court.
would normally have been entertaining. The
Small
problem is that
things.
the boy I killed, he was a prominent Tananim son.
It's a whole mess, and I can't really.
The underground illegal courts, small claims family court.
Yes.
Kangaroo courts, as they're called here.
It used to be a policeman
Exactly.
becomes like an underground bounty hunter. Used
See-
to be
see,
a
now we have
lawyer,
like
becomes
this-
like an underground bounty lawyer.
See, and now we have this noir adventure that I'm so interested in.
And it,
And the guy says, "I will send you an offer, Andrekin. Present him the forms."
so the whole situation ends up being like, so how did our character, like Gilgalad, how did you end up in the slave pits? Like, Graham?
I teleported here and I had to
Kinda
wait
followed
24
Edward.
hours
I mean-
to leave.
I thought that he knew what he was doing, and still hope he is.
I made the mistake of giving away the last of my gold pieces. Then I had nothing to pay when asked to pay a fine for some sort of like
Loitering.
bullshit way of like being like I was like helping the youth, but I was like encouraging like corruption of the youth or something. Like
The
Yeah.
Socrates thing. You talk to
Or, like,
them and
you
fill
were,
their
like,
heads with
standing
ideas.
around talking to some young kids, and you all got charged with like excessive loitering.
that's right. Or some dumb thing. And so here I am, the slave bitch.
Dismissed my skeleton, and well, 10 years for littering.
It's like a very like creepy and corpulent Tananim offered me a way out of the slave pits, but I decided not to take that.
He
And
licked
so-
he licked his lips a little too much for me to
Yeah.
He's got like,
like.
he's got, like,
Headed in
frog-
the hut.
He's got like dry froggy.
Cannon in the hut.
Yes, so like as we're fighting the arenas, he's like sitting there,
Yep.
like looking like
I got no dishu habasa solo.
Points at
leering
fancy.
at fancy.
Yep. Points at fancy. She should wear this, like the metal
Like a-
bikini,
like
like,
a little
clonk.
tiny tendon just laughing on his tail.
Right, so we've just got contrived reasons for why we'd all be interested in Prince of
See,
Peter.
now we after Jewel Sands, now we know where we're going.
Great.
I'll make a return for that.
And we all agree,
Dragon
like,
words.
these are the steps how we will get, like, thrown into the slave pits,
Mhm.
God.
That'll be
Enrican will
planning.
become a lawyer. Fucking kill a member of the jury. Fancy will, do that. Graham will have followed Enrican and just be thrown in based on, like association.
Apparently, the dead have no protection by the law, so
Hmm. They call it Dead to Rights Act. I don't know. So-
Oh, no, not dead to rights.
being dead for 1,000 years makes you apparently become an archaeological dig.
I'm a cultural heritage memory. I can't really. I don't own myself anymore.
Gilgalad espoused something
I
about
heard you,
Adduil and
State
offended people.
property. Yeah.
Graham is put on display in the museum.
He has to just stand there for 24 hours
Lay
a
down
day.
in this glass cage. I
can-
apparently stole myself.
No,
Yep.
Graham
Left.
does get to move, but only whenever someone inserts a coin into a machine
Yes.
and presses a button.
And then he reads from a script.
Like,
Yep.
They put like a silver and like a tin, and then Graham's
Mhm.
like, "Hello, everyone, welcome."
Aye.
This is how we spoke 1,000 years ago.
You know, the sheep. The
I
biggest
am
problem
from
is
the ancient
problem.
lands of the Jarl.
The problem that all DMs have is getting players to actually talk to each other about the game.
Because usually we're tired and we're like, oh man, I'm gonna go
Oh.
get some sleep now. Ugh,
Like,
we'll
oh,
see next week.
either we'll do something else. Like, yeah, I'll talk about it later. It's not my problem.
Session's gonna be in 2 weeks. We have plenty of time. And then it's been 2 weeks. I can't even remember anything. Yeah. Yeah.
But now you talked, and I'm happy.
That's
For now.
good. That's the goal here.
Next
no.
week, it'll be different.
Also, before I forget to say that, Jake, thanks
Yep.
for playing in this campaign. I hope you had fun. I certainly had fun with your character.
Sure. I did.
Yeah.
too.
And if you are ever done with your moving and working, if you want to play again, sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before,
Retirement comes
may
at
have
some
seemed
point.
the vast majority of the time like I wasn't really paying attention or I didn't seem motivated, but I mean, it's super appreciated that you push past that. I don't know, I just unless I really get going on something, I just kind of quietly observe most things.
Yeah, I
So-
know you at this point, Jake, and I realize that now.
Yeah, it's not like I was. Well, sometimes I was spacing out, but that's just it's been that way even since Age of Darkness.
Is it too
Even
soon
ever
to talk
since. Really.
That's 4 years ago.
Who are we gonna bring in?
about- I was just wanted to be like an insensitive asshole there, like who replaces Jake? No, there is
Yeah.
No one replaces Jake, damn it.
That's right.
No,
There's-
I mean you can fill my slot, but you can't get another.
That's
can't
right.
Get
You know
another
what?
me.
You can
No,
fill your
no.
slot in the game, but not the slot in our hearts.
there
That's
can be
right.
no
I'm-
other Jake.
You guys are saying goodbye to me like I'm gonna
Let's
be
start with
around.
you, by the way. So
Farewell, Jake.
May you live in
you're
peace.
moving far
Yes.
away.
Bye, Jake.
The internet won't help us.
He's moving far away, but he'll still live in the United States.
But I
Yes, he'll
do
live on in
continue.
our-
I do continue to think that 5 players is the ideal number for me, at least. But yeah.
I mean,
That's
probably
it.
wait until Jake leaves.
You know what? No, we can talk about it now because I wanted to say, I don't know how you guys feel about this. It might be a little weird, actually, but there's a guy in this other group that I'm in, and he was asking if people had any tabletop groups with room, and I said, I might be leaving mine soon. Do you want to see if we can set something up here?
I mean, it's not a big priority, and it's kind of important. So I'd like to think about things.
Too soon. Too soon.
Too soon. Yes.
Yeah,
Since
Jake, you're just leaving, and now
God,
we're
you're
talking
so
about
rude.
a
Jake.
replacement already.
Oh, I know. I've already.
Send,
I haven't even given you the gold watch yet.
there's a gold watch.
What do I have to stick it up my ass?
No, I mean, did I
What?
no.
Malachi!
My father's gold watch.
He has been playing since
Hmm.
it's the very first beginning. I met him in
I've-
Griffith Guard's stream chat.
I've played
That's what
role-playing
started all
games
this.
for a longer
True.
time than Jake has been
You're
alive.
the only OG.
Okay,
Members
now you're leaving me.
No, I'm not leaving you. I'm leaving this game.
Who will I?
I'll be yours forever. If you and Tina decide you're ever into polygamy, I'm around.
All right.
That's a very romantic offer.
Never mind.
Three
Yeah, I know.
companies
Just like,
too.
hey, you want to add a third?
Jake moves in with Tina.
I would be shocked for many
Tina and like
reasons.
Jake are playing Skyrim while he's trying to DM.
The tangents.
Italians would be never ending.
So, do you know everyone as well as you know Yake?
Yake.
As Jonas calls him, Yake.
Mm-hmm. Jake.
See, you can do it.
You way better than you were at the start.
There you go.
Got it.
Improvement.
I think we have all improved
I
in many ways.
Age of Darkness days, I didn't know you even knew the letter J.
Exactly. The letter J.
That's right. Joe Nasty there.
Mm-hmm. That's me. Joe Nasty.
Don't ask you to rap nasty.
Mm-hmm. Joe Nasty on the mic. Kicking it right like. I don't have it anymore.
Sheep, I hope whenever I leave you that you say that you know me as well as you do Jake.
I think I know everyone in this current group reasonably well.
Well,
An illusion
I,
fools them all.
I think with that we're gonna end it here.
Is that why I've been called to the principal's office?
Thank you guys for watching. If you're still sticking around, we'll be back next week with more 13th Age and
Talsaber.
with Talsaber,
Yeah.
featuring Talsaber. And tomorrow is Ice and Fire, and there will be Madness and Misery because Manikai likes that stuff.
How will Gilgalad reunite with our group? It'll be wonderful. We'll get to experience that.
Maybe he will have an 8-minute text to read. We can only hope.
Because like, Guys, during my journey, he pulls out like a scroll. It's like whipping in the wind.
I have traveled many lands and through time.
Oh, good night.
I am not the same Gilgalad.